I would now like to call Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform, Graham McGregor, up to speak.
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in Whitby, Ontario, talking about our combined fight against auto theft. I want to thank Durham Regional Police Service for their warm welcome. Chief Marrera, pleased to join you and your team here today at the training center for today's announcement, and I'm happy to be here with Brian Gast from Equite Association, who's one of the many partner organizations with us in the fight against auto theft. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out the fantastic work of the Durham Regional Police Association, standing up for the frontline Durham police officers as well. Since becoming the Associate Minister for Auto Theft and Bail Reform, I've heard from many police services about the challenges they face fighting crime related to auto theft. And I've heard from victims of auto theft from across Ontario who've had their cars stolen in the middle of the night and sometimes and more often in broad daylight. And I can tell you that this is a crime that is hitting Durham Region hard. I don't have to tell this group that auto theft is a serious problem disrupting the lives of hardworking people and communities all across the province. And it's putting significant profits into the pockets of organized crime. But today is a good day. Today is about Durham Regional Police taking the specific and strategic action necessary to make progress in the fight and prevention of auto theft and getting results that will make a difference. Project Attire is concrete proof of what can happen with dedicated and focused police work specifically geared towards auto theft. When launching Project Attire in 2023, Durham Regional Police recognized that a variety of tools were needed in the fight against auto theft. They also acknowledged there is no one easy fix, and efforts to fight this crime need to be developed, supported, and built up over time. Increasing awareness about auto thefts and helping community members play a part to preventing them in the first place is an important component, and it's why we're here today. Our government was pleased to provide the funding to get this project off the ground through our Preventing Auto Thefts grant. We are providing $900,000 to support Project Attire and auto theft initiatives to help enhance community safety across Durham Region. This investment is part of our $18 million that our government is providing through that Preventing Auto Theft grant to 21 different projects designed specifically to fight auto theft through new and enhanced crime-fighting measures focused on prevention, detection, and analysis that are being led by police services across the province. The grant supports holistic approaches to addressing this issue, including collaboration at the local level. The PAT grant is one of several initiatives taken by our government in the fight against auto theft. Just last week, we introduced the Safer Streets, Stronger Communities Act that, if passed, will create stronger sanctions related to false VIN identification numbers, creating a provincial offense, up to 6 months jail time for knowingly submitting a false document in the conduct of a VIN fraud crime. We also recently announced an investment of $134 million over 3 years to establish a joint air support unit, which includes support for police services in acquiring 5 new police helicopters for services in the Greater Toronto area and the Ottawa regions. Durham Police Service will receive funding for one of the helicopters, which will be equipped with the latest technology to help keep Ontario's roads safe from violent carjackings and vehicle thefts. And I'll also note that these helicopters will be pivotal in stopping some of the high-speed pursuits, which are a danger to our frontline officers and to our community. But it takes more than just our dedicated police services to fight this battle. It needs to be a team effort. When it comes to tackling auto theft, the federal government must be at the table, because so much of what the federal government does, regulating vehicle standards and protecting our borders, are important levers to fight this crime. In my role, I'm working to lean on the federal government on behalf of Ontario families to bring attention to the alarming spike in auto theft in Ontario, the need for additional resources and national solutions, including tighter detection at railway hubs and shipping yards. Now on carjackings. While carjackings account for a small proportion of vehicles that are stolen province-wide, this crime poses a significant public safety risk, especially here in Durham Region. Most carjackings are carried out with a firearm or another weapon, or by physical force, having a gun thrown at somebody's head, demanding car keys. This must stop. Our government vows to continue to do everything we can to assist police and justice sector partners in a full-on approach to preventing auto theft, including identifying and dismantling organized criminal networks, holding criminals accountable, and implementing prevention initiatives to address the root causes of auto theft and associated violent crimes. I want to congratulate Chief Morera and the entire Durham Regional Police Service for their work on Project Attire, the work that they've done to take this problem seriously, and the work that we're going to continue to do together to keep families safe, not just here in Durham Region, but all across Ontario. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Associate Minister McGregor. I would like to call Durham Regional Police Services Chief Peter Morera up to the podium to provide an update on Project Attire.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I want to welcome everyone to Durham Region and to our Education and Training Center. A special thanks to our Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform, Graham McGregor, and of course, Brian Gass from Equiday Association. As many of you are aware, auto theft has become a significant issue in our community, the GTA, and across the province over the last few years. Durham Region is not alone, and we've seen a 100% increase in vehicle thefts from 2021 to 2023. But in December of 2023, through provincial grant money, we were able to create a separate unit dedicated to auto theft. We called it Project Attire, in an effort to address this issue. This project, in collaboration with Equiday Association, focused strictly on auto theft investigations and recovery. In 2023, a vehicle was stolen every 6 hours in Durham Region, and we know this has a substantial impact on the lives of our residents. It impedes their ability to get to work, to get their kids to school, and to go about their daily activities. Not to mention the mental trauma being victimized, which cannot be overlooked. These investments have had an impact. So far, in 2024, we have seen an 8% decrease in auto thefts, and we are recovering more than 50% of stolen vehicles in our region. Unfortunately, we are still averaging 3 stolen vehicles a day. This number is still too high, and we are working very hard to bring this number down even more. Unfortunately, we've also seen a 13% increase in carjackings in our region so far this year, with 18 in the region compared to 16 this time last year. In just 1 year, Project Attire team has conducted 865 auto theft investigations and laid over 350 charges against 81 individuals. However, I must point out a concerning pattern that we are seeing in these cases. Many of those responsible for thefts are already out on bail or under specific probation conditions set out by the court for previous crimes. This situation highlights a troubling issue of recidivism, the tendency of individuals to reoffend after being arrested or convicted of a prior crime. I want to provide a very recent example of this to give you an idea of why this is so frustrating, not only to our members, but our communities. On September 18th, members of Project Attire, with the assistance of the Halton Regional Police Service, executed a search warrant at a residence in Clarington here in Durham Region as part of an auto theft investigation. They located a programming device used for auto theft, and a stolen BMW SUV was located on the property. 3 individuals were arrested. One of those individuals was a 26-year-old Stephen Chambers, who was facing charges including breach of probation. Mr. Chambers was already on probation and had a current release order in relation to auto theft. He was held in custody until October 21st, where he pled guilty and was subsequently released. But that's not the end of the story. On November 23rd, Project Attire members were conducting a subsequent investigation of Mr. Chalmers when they observed him stealing a vehicle in Peel Region. He was arrested and faces numerous charges, including 16 counts of theft of a motor vehicle, 16 counts, and breach of probation, 18 counts of breach of probation. This means that on 18 different occasions, he has violated prohibition orders from previous convictions, and he remains in custody today. But it shouldn't take 16 convictions, 16 charges. This cycle of recidivism undermines our efforts to reduce crime and poses an ongoing risk to our community safety. It is deeply frustrating to see people who have been caught, charged, and convicted for previous crimes being allowed to walk free without facing consequences that would deter further criminal activity. Since January of 2023, approximately 25% of those charged with vehicle thefts were also charged with failing to comply with a probation order or a release order, a full quarter. We are working closely with the courts and other law enforcement agencies to address this issue and ensure those responsible for auto theft, especially repeat offenders, are held accountable. We will be advocating for closer monitoring of individuals who have been released on bail or other conditions, and for stronger penalties for those who continue to engage in criminal behavior. To the public, we are committed to doing everything in our power to combat auto theft and disrupt the cycle of recidivism. Beyond enforcement, we believe that prevention plays a key role in tackling auto theft. That is why we are raising awareness about how to protect your vehicle and reduce the chances of it being stolen. Simple steps, like parking in your garage if you're able, always locking your car, and parking in well-lit areas, installing steering wheel locks, all can make a big difference and can deter these crimes from happening. In an effort to further educate our public, we are excited to announce that a newly wrapped Durham Regional Police transit bus will be traveling throughout our region, displaying important information about auto theft. This bus will direct the public onto a page on our website where you find additional tips and resources to help you safeguard your vehicle. This issue requires a collaborative effort, and we will continue to push for the necessary reforms to keep our community safe. Thank you for being here today, and I'll be happy to answer questions at the conclusion of the press conference. And I'd like to call Brian Gass from Attire Association to share some remarks. Sorry.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction. As mentioned, my name is Brian Gass. I'm the Vice President of Investigative Services at Attire Association. It's a national not-for-profit organization representing the property and insurance industry with a focus on combating vehicle crimes and insurance crime, with vehicle crime and fraud being one of those. I'd like to thank Chief Morera and the Durham Regional Police for inviting me here today and congratulate them on their outstanding work and in combating vehicle crimes. I'd also like to acknowledge the Honorable Graham McGregor, Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform, as a valued partner in our collective effort as he takes these matters very seriously. Together, we share the desire to keep our communities safe. Initiatives like Project Attire are essential in achieving that goal. Equité helps Canadians fight insurance crimes, including vehicle theft and fraud, by providing investigative expertise and advanced analytics. Our investigative teams collaborate closely with CBSA, government agencies, CISO, law enforcement across the country, including our great partners, Durham Regional Police. While Equité recently reported that due to the recent operational and efforts and collective efforts, we've seen a decrease by 14%. And although those numbers have been reduced, I do want to caution that the fight is not over. The numbers are still at crisis levels, and we all need to continue to combat vehicle theft. A vehicle in 2023 was stolen once every 12 minutes in Ontario, and Ontario is a prime target for organized crime due to its population, its high value of targeted vehicles, and its proximity to the eastern ports. In 2023, auto theft claims in Ontario surpassed $1 billion for the first time. Auto theft is a financially motivated crime. It's not just a property crime. It's not a victimless crime. It affects public safety. Stolen vehicles are often trafficked to finance other criminal activities, from drugs to firearms offenses and international terrorism. The high profit margins and low risks associated with the crimes makes it attractive to criminals. Beyond the financial impact, auto theft also seriously undermines our sense of security. To combat this issue, public awareness campaigns like Project Attire are critical. By educating the public and empowering them to take precautions, we can reduce the numbers of auto theft. We applaud the Ontario government and law enforcement agencies for their significant contributions and efforts in combating vehicle crime. Ontario really started the momentum with the early investments to the dedicated prosecutors and the provincial auto theft team, and the collaboration and cooperation and the support by the Ontario government has been tremendous, and it truly is making a difference, and we're starting to see that in 2024. A collective approach involving public and private partnerships is essential to address complex issues. By working together, we can overcome this crisis and protect our communities. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you everyone for attending. Chief Marrera will be available to answer any questions if there are any. Once questions are done, I would like to invite everybody out to the parking lot for a photo op with the Project Attire wrapped bus. Speakers will be available to speak to the media following the photo op. Please let me know if you would like an interview.
Question to the chief. They've been here a few times this year and other police forces talking about bail reform, repeat offenders. Are you making any headway?
What's important now is that the dialogue continues, and we are at the right tables having these conversations. The reality is that this is a big ship to turn in the opposite direction, and it's going to take some time. So we continue to be strong advocates at all levels of government, and I know it's something that our provincial partners understand as well, and are also strong advocates at the table. But these are federal responsibilities in terms of laws and bail, and so we continue those conversations.
Getting back to the car thefts, is there specific areas in Durham, or is it just right across the region that you're seeing it?
Yeah, it's right across the region. The reality is that there are no communities that are immune from this right across our province, really. Speaking with our partner agencies, that there are areas in which we do see higher instances of car thefts, of course, but by and large, it touches every single one of our 8 municipalities.
Can I get in? I don't know if it's maybe in the hands of the Solicitor General or Attorney General, but when you're looking to try to get bail reform or stricter penalties for auto theft, and you're trying to deal with the Criminal Code of Canada, maybe you could deal with this. How much success are you having talking to your federal counterparts on this? Is there any move to try to change any laws to make them stronger? Or
Yeah, so it's a good question. This is something that our premier and all premiers across Canada wrote a letter about over a year and a half ago. We haven't seen substantial moves. We've seen small moves on the criminal code. We need to see more. We chose to be more prescriptive with the letter released by myself and the Solicitor General about 3 weeks ago, calling for changes we'd like to see. So mandatory remand for violent, serious offenses, murder, gun crime, firearms offenses, human trafficking, drug trafficking, etc. We've asked for a 3-strike rule. So the third time you're hauled in front of a judge, mandatory remand being put into provincial jail while we get the trial going and figure it out. Mandatory minimum sentencing. So one of the changes that the federal government made a few years ago in 2019 was the removal of mandatory minimum sentencing for firearms offenses. So having an illegal firearm loaded was 3 years. Using it in conduct of a crime was 4 years. We've seen that have devastating impacts, removing that law particularly, not only in Durham region, but across Ontario, frankly. So we've put these things forward. I'd say the response from the federal Attorney General has been less than helpful. But we are starting to hear the federal government at least acknowledge bail as a problem, where before they were, to be blunt, they were living in fantasy land thinking everything was fine. So the acknowledgement of the problem, I think, is a step in the right direction. What we need them to do is implement meaningful, substantive bail reform. My position being part of a targeted effort by our government to stand up for Ontario families and get the criminal code reform that we need.
as a follow-up, what's been the response from the federal Conservatives since we're going into election? Are they more open to some of these suggestions that you've got? There's a possible chance they may form a government.
Yeah, and look, without being too political, we got to work with any government that's there. We've certainly heard the same concerns being raised by particularly more conservative members of Parliament, I'd say, than liberal ones. We'll work with anyone, and our message, regardless of who's in power, is clear. We need substantive, meaningful bail reform, criminal code reform. Believe me, whether it's a conservative or a liberal, first day that if a conservative government forms, Premier Ford and I and our PC caucus team will be knocking on their door as well, standing up for Ontario families, demanding prioritization of criminal code reform.
Because the chief mentioned that 25% of these, carjackings, I don't think he said carjackings, it might have been auto theft.
I think it was auto theft, yeah.
Auto thefts are being committed by people who've been charged with it before and been let out on bail, and then they do it again. Like, what could be done about that? What options?
Well, it's frustrating. We put a provincial carjacking task force together last year. They laid arrests on 124 people. 63 of them were out on bail already. We saw in my neck of the woods, I'm from Brampton, Peel region, Project Warlock was specifically home invasions, violent carjackings. 18 individuals arrested. By the time we're doing the press conference, 9 of them were out on bail. It's frustrating for our law enforcement. It's frustrating for our victims of crime. It's frustrating for our neighborhoods. Frankly, we deserve to feel safe. In the absence of federal leadership on this issue, what we've done is step up to see if we can, to implement changes on our side provincially to at least monitor offenders better. We put $112 million bail compliance and warrant apprehension grant to give law enforcement more tools. We have a bail compliance dashboard rolling out for police services across Ontario. And we're looking at ways that we can make our existing ankle monitoring systems more effective. One of the things we asked for in that letter that I mentioned were mandatory ankle monitors for serious offenses as well. If those decisions can be taken out of judges' hands and just be written in law, we're seeing judges and JPs be way too lenient with an already lenient criminal code.
Did you get the ankle monitors? Was that approved?
The federal government has not made that change at this time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Chief, isn't it a little frustrating, though, you put all this effort and money towards this, to realize that maybe cars might be the most easily stealable thing on the planet. If I shoplift, at least an alarm goes off. If somebody wants to break into my home, they have to either have a key or kick in the door. But any teenager with a laptop can quietly and silently steal your car.
Yeah, it sure seems that way, doesn't it? But the reality is that the more convenience we want when we walk up to our car and it unlocks and starts, the more opportunities you're giving the criminal element to engage in this kind of behavior. The reality is that we are having conversations with auto manufacturers as well in designing security features within vehicles, and certainly it'll be. There's a software solution to some of this, for sure. But let's not lose sight of the fact that these are criminals. They're often, while we are arresting people, this is organized crime. There's an element here of organized crime. And that I would like us to take, as a society, take property crime as seriously as we take crimes involving violence. The reality is that most people will not be the victim of a violent crime. But if your house gets broken into, your car stolen, that can impact your sense of safety and that of your family, who have nothing to do with these issues. And it kind of speaks to the frustration that we're feeling here when some people have had more than one car stolen out of their driveway. And sometimes it's even the replacement vehicle that they receive that they have to wait some time to get. So the frustration is right across the board.
But isn't that part of the problem, too, is that when a car is stolen, almost everyone wins. The thief wins because he gets a free car. The person who has their car stolen gets another brand new car for maybe the cost of the deductible. The insurance company wins because the prices go up for millions of customers. And the, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Manufacturer wins.
The manufacturer wins, they get to sell another car.
Well, this is why we're engaged in these conversations, and there are many partner agencies that aren't up here today that we're trying to tackle this from many different fronts. The reality is that the solution is not simply a law enforcement one, although it is because of the provincial grant that we have seen the successes that we have here today. But I want to emphasize the fact, and I think Mr. Gast spoke about it, we're still at crisis levels. We've just been able to slow and reverse that trend by 8% in this region here. But I have a dedicated group of women and men who are trying to tackle this problem, trying to reduce that number right back down. Even one vehicle is too many, but certainly when we've seen 100% increase in just 2 short years, that's absolutely unacceptable. And we're very thankful that the provincial government was able to fund this project.
I would just, if I could add on that piece, we've seen consumers change their behavior as part of why we're seeing auto thefts go down writ large, and the awareness and prevention campaigns help. What the chief did say in his remarks that I want to make sure that you know, carjackings are up 14% in Durham region. 14, I think was the number. In my neck of the woods in Peel, it's double. In York, it's double. In Toronto, it's up 60%. And as residents take prevention measures, we are seeing criminal elements be a little bit more bold in how they approach these crimes. Think of the two ways to steal a car. One would be out of the driveway in the middle of the night. The other is with a gun to your head saying, give me the keys to your car. And we're seeing those violent interactions also raise. And I think leads to a further proof point of why mandatory remand when you're charged with a violent carjacking or a robbery. Mandatory minimum sentence of 4 years when you use an illegal firearm in the conduct of a crime. A 3-strike penalty on bail. Why those measures and those tools to give those to our police and to our provincial court system are so important for the proof point, because we are seeing that on the rise as well. And as the chief and as Brian have said, we've seen 14 decrease in Ontario. Auto theft is still way too damn high for us to take the foot off the gas. We need to keep working on this, and we will. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. If you would like an interview with one of the speakers, please let me know. And I'd like to invite you outside right now for a photo op with the new bus.